I'll take nominations for chair.
I would,
Should we have roll call first?
We can elect officers first, it doesn't matter to me. We gotta elect a secretary to call roll.
okay, we can do this individually, but I'd recommend we have the same officers as we have for the Solid Waste Commission.
I'll second his motion.
Can we do it that way?
It would be, the chair is Adam, and then the secretary is Gary, is that?
Okay, I'll make it formal. I nominate Adam as chair, myself as vice chair, Gary as secretary.
And now I can second.
Well, we don't need a second. Are there any other nominations?
Oh.
Close the floor to nominations. We'll take a vote, starting down there with Larry.
Aye.
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 Okay. Now, Gary, you want to call roll for the Regional Waste Authority meeting?
Okay, call roll. Larry? Here. Dave?
Here.
Mr. App?
Present.
Monty Ross,
Ross,
present?
Monty Ross.
It's okay.
Gotta get this pat on.
Present.
Everyone's present.
We'll move on to the presentation by Republic. They were nice enough to put together a PowerPoint everyone received. So if you want to, Rich, do you have a copy of this?
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to step up, say your name, who you're with, and walk us through.
Are we gonna go with the hard copy?
Yeah, TV, Wi-Fi is terrible down here, so I couldn't connect.
Okay. I'll just basically read in a.
Please say your name and who you're with.
David Hollinshed, Republic.
Thank you.
The Matlock Bend landfill accepts approximately 150,000 tons per year of waste from Loudon and surrounding counties. Landfill is owned by the Solid Waste Commission of Loudon. Three-member body comprised of Loudon County, Lenore City, and Loudon, and operated under contract by Santec Environmental Republic Services through 2038. At current disposal rates, Matlock Bend is projected to reach final permitted capacity by December 2024. TDEC recommends a 30-month schedule from the date permit application to expand landfill is submitted to the date that the expanded landfill can accept waste. July 12, 2022, the second amendment of the landfill operating agreement between Loudon and Republic includes obligations and specific details for landfill expansion. Without immediate action, the landfill will close with no solution for managing our community's waste. The permit expansion process overview, part one, and the entire package is the permit application submission to TDEC is complete. Part one, public hearing, we're doing that right now. TDEC public notice, hydrology work plan, TDEC approval is complete, hydrology investigation study is complete. And part two, technical permit application submission to TDEC, we're hoping for August anticipated.
Can I ask a quick question just for, the way that it's written here, it says the landfill is owned by the Loudoun County Solid Waste Commission, and then it says a three-member body comprised of that, and is that, I mean, I'm just new with this, so I'm sorry. But I thought it was owned by, I mean, that's, are they considered the commission, or is that us?
We're the commission, the counties are the stakeholders.
The counties and the cities are the.
Correct.
So it says a three-member body comprised of these, and so that seems like that's confusing because they're actually, we can say that the stakeholders are, instead of, because it looks like there's the Solid Waste Commission, there's those three entities, the way this is written.
That's how it's made up, is the county appoints 5 of us, the cities each appoint them, that's how,
Yeah.
So, yes.
So, okay, so it's, okay, so it,
That's fine.
all right, it just seems kind of odd, because it seems like the commission is made up of people who are appointed by the stakeholders.
Correct.
To clarify that statement, I mean,
Yes, that's fine, yes.
okay, thank you,
The 3 stakeholders appoint this commission.
yes.
Please.
The next drawing is just an expansion overview where you can see the proposed expansion and the 26 acres. The next one is just a drone flyover showing that. The next page is a conversation about the specified expansion in the new operating agreement and how that expansion will work. Modules 1 through 4 have been authorized for construction by the landfill commission through the operating agreement. It reserves 5 through 8, 14.2 acres for the commission after the agreement expires in 2038, and you see that with the detonation there of the green line to the left, which would be the north.
David,
And
if I could,
requires the mitigation of some streams in module 4.
David, if I could, I want to ask I know the answer, but I want to ask a clarifying question so it's on the record.
Okay,
So the expansion is totally within the existing footprint of the landfill, what the commission owns, and it's maintaining the setbacks, the standard setbacks from the property lines that are required under TDEC regulation, right? There's no exception.
correct.
Correct. Great.
The next slide shows the previous contractual anticipated schedule before there were setbacks and other unanticipated opportunities that have come up. I went ahead and just showed the proposed alternative schedule that we're going to be proposing in the next slide, moving forward with the schedule starting in July 23, hopefully for construction on the new cell in June 24, and not closing the landfill and be operational sometime in that period between June 24 and December 24. The proposed alternative does this because we're running out of capacity. Number one, it only permits modules 1 through 3 as per the operating agreement. This avoids any streams of the USA, which would be a big deal with TDEC. And by just doing sections 1 through 3, we're going to streamline the permitting process, and we're not going to be into the streams of the USA. This 1 through 3 expansion will provide approximately 10 years of disposal for Loudon County landfill, and it changes nothing with regard to the timely closure of the modules at final grade. We went ahead and assumed some questions. There'll be approximately 10 years based on current conditions of new airspace. Santec will work to permit the full expansion footprint identified in the operating agreement prior to proposed alternative footprint reaching capacity at a time arranged with the commission prior to the 10-year period, probably in year 5 or 6, so we can make those things happen on a timely basis. Who is responsible for closure? Santec is responsible for closure of all active modules operating during the time of the operating agreement. Closure occur when phases as new modules are constructed, beginning in 2025, as specified in the operating agreement. Who is responsible for post-closure care? The landfill commission continues to be responsible for long-term care of the landfill after the landfill permanently closes and the operating agreement terminates. Post-closure care is funded through royalty payments made by Santec and is currently fully funded. And then there's one last slide that additionally shows where we're going, what we're doing, and how we're going to try and get there. But by doing 1 through 3 modules for the expansion, we firmly believe we can get the expansion done in a timely basis, and there will be no closure of the Loudon landfill.
Thank you. Any public comments?
I have a
Well,
question.
oh, go ahead, you're fine.
I have a question about the capacity. In your model, what was the annual tonnage that you were using in your calculations?
I've got to believe we're using around 150,000 tons a year because those are the current tons that are coming into the landfill.
Any public comments or questions?
Yeah.
Rich, come up and state your name and where you live and go to town.
This is more, Richard Ankman, Delago Village. This is more, I guess, wordsmithing than anything. On page 3, you list yourself as approval by the Solid Waste Regional Board. On the agenda, it's a different name. And then there's another page in here that changed the verbiage. Should this not require the official name of what this committee is? Are you a board, are you authority?
This is not an official document. This is just a presentation they're trying to educate people with.
I understand that.
But that's confusing.
To correct the record, are you a board, authority, or a commission?
We're the Regional Waste Authority.
Okay, so when it's approved by the Regional Waste Authority, then that's Solid Waste Regional Board.
You're welcome to mark it out and write authority on your paper if you want to.
All right?
I mean, I'm going off the agenda that says Regional Waste.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm going with this agenda.
That's what I had. This also talks about 67 acres, which is what we approved in the Second Amendment. However, only 54 of said acres will be approved in this permit process, whether it's phase 1 or phase 2. So that would, as this drawing on the 5th page, the one with the green and red lines. Modules 1, 2, 3, and 4 take you up to 54. Modules 5, 6, 7, and 8 take you up to 67. We're not approving the 67. We already approved functionally the 67 in the Second Amendment. And this permit is only for 54, not 67, or am I mistaken? Hello?
Yeah, take a look.
Yeah, please step up here and talk on the mic, sorry.
Sorry.
State your name and who you're with.
Luke Cunningham for Public Services.
You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, so the intent is the part 1 will be modules 1 through 3.
What's part 2?
Or sorry, the part,
1 and 2.
yes, the initial application, the initial expansion application will
This
be
was
for.
54.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at the numbers here, and, yeah, we have 53 acres here, and then, yes, whatever minus,
5 through 8 are reserved per the Second Amendment at the end of 2038. I think that's an important distinction on this drawing,
okay,
that you're only coming in for modules 1, 2, 3, 4.
So if I could
Takes you
offer a
50.
resolution, let's just go back and double check the part 2 application to make sure that the acreages reflect the actual
Right.
modules.
Because
that
we
we're
talked
talking
in the Second Amendment
about. And it's clear in there.
we reserve the right for 5 through 8 at the end of 2038, and a second permit has to be, which would be a much smaller permit.
yeah,
Well, my understanding is the part 2 that we will address in August, more than likely, deals with module 1, 2, and 3.
correct,
At a later date, they will have to come back with another part 2 for module 4.
that is exactly it.
That'll get us through 2038.
Yes.
And it's exactly it. So I think the intent of what David was trying to explain is that due to the time constraints, modules 1 through 3, regardless of what the contract said, is what's gonna be submitted this upcoming fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's clear in your cover letter to TDEC on the
Yeah.
application.
Absolutely, so.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it?
Yep.
Anyone else in the public have questions, comments? Come on, Ty.
I'm just a cheerleader.
So now, yes,
Chairman, I
ma'am,
would like to make a statement, please.
please.
I was looking for a document, I believe I gave it to Ms. Murphy, it should be in her notebook. But back in 2012, the county attorney was asked about the authority of the Solid Waste Commission, the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission, and he gave a 5 or 6 page opinion. And I did further research with CTAS, and there are only 5 counties that are registered with the Secretary of State that are authorities. They are Lincoln, Giles, Franklin, Roane, Union, Lawrence, and Hickman. Loudon County is not a solid waste authority. We're very close, we're a hybrid, and that's what he says in his legal opinion. But he specifically says that we're a hybrid, but we are not a solid waste authority. And I think that needs to be cleared up because, as Mr. Anklin said, as Ms. Ross has said about the verbiage, I think it's important for us to establish exactly who we are. And according to the agreement, we are the Loudon County Regional Solid Waste Planning Region. So we're not an authority. And the reason County Commission did not want an authority was because the authority at the time would have taxing authority, they could condemn property, and they simply didn't want to give that authority that only County Commission has to another body of appointed officials.
So what would you like us to be called?
I think that we should go with what we are, and that is, let me look at this. I found the minutes to one of the, to what it actually says in the, when County Commission created it.
What's the date?
Why did your paper say that we were from Kevin Stevens? Why did he claim that we were?
With Kevin Stevens,
Or whoever the attorney was that you cited in
it was Bob
2012?
Bowman.
From 2012, why did Bob Bowman say we were?
We're a regional planning commission.
Planning Commission?
Regional,
A regional, yeah.
not
Planning.
planning.
A
Not
disposal, I'm sorry.
waste disposal.
The Regional Disposal Commission.
Loudon County Regional Solid Waste Commission.
Like our name says.
I mean, they didn't want us to be they did not want this body to be an authority. And it's here somewhere, I didn't highlight it.
Well, but don't we still have responsibilities for public comment in that?
Yes, we still,
Yes,
So,
we're,
you know,
we're,
So this is
we're moving right along just fine.
yes, we still have the same
Responsibility.
responsibilities.
Noted, thank you. Anyone else? So now I would need a motion for the Waste Authority, Regional Commission, whatever you want us to be called, to take a vote to approve the expansion.
I would make a motion that we approve the expansion as defined in the Part 2 application and Part 1 application.
I'll second.
And this is part one, we're talking part one.
This is for us to approve the expansion.
Just going forward.
Correct, yes.
Got it.
I have one question with the discussion. I'd like to know how the 10-year plan plays into this expansion. I haven't heard anything regarding that.
I actually talked to a guy named Drew Thurman today he's the head of solid waste for Knox County. And he said 10-year plans are somewhat outdated because every year we do an update with East Tennessee Development District. They do it in the house. We work with, Pat, I believe, work with East Tennessee Development District. And that has almost taken the place of 10-year plans over time. So I think our annual report satisfies TDEC in that respect. I got his number for you to call tomorrow.
I was thinking a conversation, well, not a conversation, but something I got from Tim Hendricks from ETAD.
Mm-hmm.
And in his annual report for 22, you know, it talks about all the things which it leaves out an awful lot of information, you know, because but it talks about the things that need to be updated in the 10-year plan.
Okay, well, I mean,
So,
please talk to him, we can talk to Drew, we can talk to whoever. We can definitely, I mean, that's something that needs to be addressed, we've discussed, we've got in the budget. So, I mean,
Right,
that'll definitely be addressed for sure.
Alrighty.
I spoke to him today and with Mr. Hendrick with the East Tennessee Development District, and he did say that if we did want to update the 10-year plan, and many counties are doing it, matter of fact, they had a grant last year to update the 10-year plans, but that opportunity has since left. But he did say that he gave me a contact person with TDEC so we can interface with them and address the 10-year plan because it is outdated. I remember stating that the 5-year plan specifically said that we shouldn't be taking sludge, which we're not only taking sludge from Loudon, but now we're taking sludge from other counties. So I think it has to be updated, and that is my concern about the 10-year plan and the expansion. If we're going to see an increase in waste, in my mind, I'd like to know how we're going to offset and meet our 25% waste reduction as per the 1991 Act. So those are my concerns about this. I feel I don't know enough about that interaction to feel comfortable to vote aye.
Any other comments or questions? We'll do a roll call vote to approve the expansion of the Regional Waste Authority, or whatever you'd like to call us. You want to call a roll?
What was the motion?
To approve the expansion?
Approve the expansion
Just to move ahead with it.
as submitted. Mr. Rowland?
Did we get a second? Do you need a second?
Oh, did I get a second? Sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Before.
you-
Okay, okay.
Mr. Hall?
I'm an aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye.
Oh, you can hear me. I wasn't pushing the button. Ms. Ross?
Yes, aye.
Ms. Hunter?
No,
No. Mr. Bush is aye.
Passes
Pass.
5-1. Any other comments?
Pat brought up an interesting, just,
Sorry for your back.
that's all right. Pat brought up an interesting thing about a 10-year, 5-year plan. By virtue of approving the expansion today, July 23, which ends in 2038, that's 15 years from now. How do those two things dovetail together? Is there something in the 10-year plan that footnotes that this particular landfill will be in operation through 2038?
No, but there is language in there that says the authority, pardon my use of
Whatever.
authority there, the body, the governing body will make adjustments to the landfill as appropriate for expansion. And I can't quote it chapter and verse, but there's language in there to do
But
that.
there is a mechanism for dovetailing that in.
And when you look at the regulation, the only basis this, whatever we are, has for denying that permit is if the 10-year plan doesn't recognize some need for expansion. That's it. When you get to the last line in the regulation, that's the only basis for denying. So, but I would also agree with Pat, we need to take a look at the 10-year plan. We need to take a look at recycling and understand, what can we do, what can't we do. There's a lot of limitations because of the way our waste comes into
Right.
county recycling centers and things like that, so.
Well, previously, it's been the convenience center who has centers who have managed that 24%, and commercial businesses, like the paper company, who was selling us cover. They're awful from their process. And then they decided to recycle it themselves by burning it, I believe. But that's still accountable
Yep.
volume. And we need to recognize that. And in the previous commission, Ms. Littleton Brewster went to the schools with grant money to get them involved in recycling papers from their facilities. I don't know if anything concrete came out of that, but it was another venue or avenue, so to speak, of generating some recycle savings. And it's very disappointing in our case at Tellico Village, we don't have that mechanism anymore.
I know, the mayor's office is working with Telco Village and I'm trying to resolve that.
They are.
Yes.
I'm not sure that it's gonna be anywhere near successful as the way it was previously, because it was going to require a location, it's gonna require monitoring, manning, staffing, so that you know the stuff that goes into that gondola, whether it's a 10-yard or 20, is the correct stuff. Or whoever you're sending it to is gonna send it back to you. But that's my observation, not my belief. I'm hoping that we get the mechanism back, because a lot of people were upset when we lost that ability. All right, thank you.
I would add one thing to that, Mr. Aiken, is the fact that there is a higher volume now being taken into the convenience centers due to Tellico Village. And to your point, a program to work out with the mayor and Tellico Village, me sitting on this, I had talked to Chet about it, and I had talked to Buddy about it, is putting a program together. Part of it's educating our people in the village,
Yeah,
because separation of waste
as you know, our
improves the streams.
As you know, our residents grew. When I first came here, it was about 2,500, give or take. Now it's closing in on 5,000. So you've lost a very valuable stream to meet that 25% objective. And it was Republic who was picking it up, and we lost that opportunity. So we have to come up with something again. And Gary, I agree with what you're saying. Chet has agreed to work with the mayor and come up with something. But there's a lot of nuances that have to be overcome. You just don't throw a 20 cubic yard gondola somewhere and tell people throw it in.
No.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn from someone, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Now what do we do?
Wait 30 minutes.
Are you gonna wait till 12:30? I guess you have to, though.
Yeah, it's a 6 o'clock meeting.
Anybody bring any cards?
I would like to,
What is
The one
this?
at the-
What is
This
this?
is for the next meeting.
That's for the next meeting.
But what is it? What is this?
The pricing you asked for.
Oh, I agree. I just,
May I?
I just don't think it.
I'd like to invite everybody, we're going to,
Miss Ross is speaking.
you know, the glass crusher that they have in Blount County? I talked to the fellow that's, the operations manager over there, and he and his boss, who I have forgotten his name, it's Bill Cox. But anyway, he's going to come to our Rotary Club meeting to talk about that crusher. What they do is they crush it to two sizes. One is like sand, and the other is just it's chips, small chips. And they use it in projects across the county. And so I asked him, I said, do you have enough glass or would you like some more? And,
I was telling him, we're done if you,
yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, this is just,
for you, we're done.
Correct.
Thank you.
yeah, I guess this needs
Yeah.
to be recorded, but, because it's just an invitation to you all. On the 25th of September, you're all invited to lunch and our Rotary meeting, and he's gonna give a presentation on that process.
Now, is the county operating that
Yes.
themselves, or is it somebody else?
They bought a glass crusher and they use it like in roads and all kinds of projects
Yeah,
throughout the county.
and it's, well, I read about it in the Rotarian, I heard about the machine, or the equipment, that you were using it in Oregon. And the Rotary clubs got together with the counties and cities and municipalities, and they bought this piece of equipment, and it's like
Send out the date and the info.
Okay, yes, I will do that. It's like $150,000, so we don't, that's a lot of money. So, and then I found out that Blount County has one of these. This is the thing I was
We'll
really
think
talking about.
Yeah. I mean, cost had it all the way down.
We stopped it.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, I appreciate it, man. Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna set you and Drew Thurman up from Knox County Solid Waste and let you and them talk just what they do with 10-year plans, cause they don't really, they think this suffices, but I think we should probably do more.
Okay.
So he can help guide us along as well as Tim.
I think we'll have name.
You wanna donate it?
You say you got a donut?
If he wants to donate for nameplates, I'll bring donuts, he brings nameplates. I'll do donuts all day
There's a whole
long.
bunch of names I don't recognize anymore.
That's the school, school board.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. I did find it. I have it.
Yeah.
So it was in the June 15th packet. Oops. The June.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That looks like the one they Paul sent you today.
No, that's because it is, but I got it, anyway,
You have it.
I have it.
Great. 6 o'clock, call the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission meeting to order. Gary, you want to do a roll call for us?
Roll call. Get everybody right this time. Mr. Lowen? Here. Mr. Bush is here. Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Present.
Ms. Ross?
Here.
Ms. Hunter?
Present.
All present.
Thank you. Any public comments?
Wear me out. In the workshop, I asked you about the bond. Did somebody look at that bond to see if it was 8.5 plus 1? Does it carry it to 8 of 2023 versus 2022?
Yes,
And it's total 9.4.
correct.
All right. Tipping fees, where's the list?
I spoke with Ms. Hunter, and she's happy.
She said she was.
Why wasn't it brought to the meeting? We usually do it once a year, in month of June. Because they go into effect on the first of July.
There's a rough draft of that, so we hope to have, it's a rough draft, because that's all he can get. He'll have a more presentable one next meeting,
Next what?
next meeting.
Okay.
But I mean, we have it, it's just
That's this.
like you need an accounting degree to read it.
Well, then as the third thing I want to talk about is I'm glancing through the origin report, and it's modified radically. It's now based on county. What happened to the individual names in that county? All you got here is county listings. In other words, 5-star's not there, waste management's not there, what's the one?
I think you're thinking about, if I understand correctly, you're thinking about the tipping rates that show all of the
No, I'm
various.
talking about this report, the origin report is by county now. There is no individual company here.
Well, I think the origin report has always been that way. It has always been broken down by area. Now, I think there's somewhere in this packet, if you look, there's a breakdown that says, it's not the summary customer activity report, but there's another report here that shows a breakdown of the origin.
Well, all right, it may be that when
There's
you're wrong.
actually two.
I printed this off from what you sent me,
Uh-huh.
and I guess the customer activity reports where their individual companies are listed,
Right.
and you have them.
He has a summary origin activity report that has the breakdown of each county and the type of waste that they're bringing, which when we get to it, I'm gonna have some
Right.
questions.
And then there are 4 different locations, and Anderson County is now bringing sludge. Roane County is bringing sludge. When did we approve sludge from other counties other than Monroe?
I was going to bring that up when we get to that, because I did notice that. And, according to 5.14, the flow limitations and special restrictions, when we get to it, I will mention that the contractor is also prohibited from accepting sanitary sewage sludge at the landfill unless previously authorized by the commission under terms and conditions prescribed by the commission. And to my knowledge, only Monroe County has been approved.
Only Monroe County was approved. It was approved last July when we found out about it in June. And we were supposed to be asked and told that it was coming. And we extended the ability for the Monroe County to bring it. Now I see 2 more counties. And when did that occur?
That's gonna be my question for Mr.
One final thing, what's
Collins.
off-spec material? There's multiple places, what's an off-spec material?
From a manufacturing facility that, doesn't meet the specifications to pass along to the consumer, so they have to dispose of it.
It's not anything hazardous material like medical stuff or anything.
No, it's just off-spec, it's just, doesn't meet the specifications to sell it.
Do we have a limited quantity of that, or an upper limit of quantity for that?
I believe we have an upper limit quantity on all of our special waste that we take. I would have to specifically look at that customer, but I believe we do, yes.
Okay, that's what I had,
Thank you. Any other public comments? On the agenda, we need to add, Ms. Ross was kind enough to work on and send out May minutes, so I know everybody has a copy of that. So we need to approve May minutes tonight as well, with the June 15th minutes that Mr. Bush so kindly prepared. And then one thing that was failed to be in the Republic packet was the June 8th inspection report, which there was no violations. Mr. Hall was kind enough to send that out earlier, plus Republic copies. So,
I turned in some corrections to Mr. Bush ahead of time, and also today I gave him my copy, but there were only a couple of typos. It was Mr. Viars, V-I-A-R-S, on the last page. I think he had Viars. Brian? So he's gonna make that correction, and I gave it to him. And then I think there was another correction when it came to your name, Mr. Waller. He put Wallen, and I corrected that to Waller. So,
I'll call whatever people want to call me.
no, I don't wanna call you that.
Well,
But I gave him the corrections.
and those are the 2 corrections you gave him?
Yes, plus I gave him some last night.
And those were updated on what I have right here, Mr. Bush?
Yeah, I'll get the changes and get that updated.
They were minor.
So can we approve with those minor changes?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the corrected and amended June,
Well, we gonna approve the May ones
And
first.
we need May as well.
yeah, but we're approving two. So we're gonna, do you wanna do the May first?
Both together, please.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve the May 18 minutes as written, but except to change the bottom and say respectfully submitted, Adam Waller, Chair. And then, I'm going to make, with the same motion, to approve the June, what is it, 15th meeting minutes with the corrections and amendments to the minutes.
So Monty, you'll send me the updated, just put Adam Wall, I can.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll take care of that.
And then you'll
The
send-
reason why I was asking that question is because usually, I mean, often you record who took the minutes, because, and that really hasn't been on there. It's just been,
You're right, usually there are two signatures,
Yeah,
one for the
so-
recording secretary and one for the chair.
so I didn't know
But
whether
we've
that
never
was
done
something
that.
that just is not done, with it's okay. I mean, if it's
She's
enough.
right. You
Doesn't
do-
matter to me, I don't
You,
care how y'all
you
do it.
have two
doesn't matter to me.
signatures for the recording secretary and the chair.
I would just say I've gone back through a lot of the minutes and I've never seen two signatures on it.
Okay, it's just
Well,
the
other
chair.
organizations do it, we don't.
Okay,
We'll just do it as chair, that's fine.
just do chair,
Let's
and
do
since we know you're the secretary, that if somebody has questions, then, okay, gotcha. I mean, I'm just,
So
I
that
just
was,
say-
that
I
was
just
my
say
motion.
under, the previous commissioner that ran it for multiple years, her signature was the only one on the bottom of the
Okay.
minutes.
So we have a motion for Ms. Hunter to approve May as is and June.
Corrected and amended,
That's correct?
June.
June, correct. Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Expenses, Ms. Murphy sent me expenses, or her bill for April, May, and June. That includes her and the technical advisor. He's all but done. He's done through the hydro geo, and he's all but done going through the part 2 application. And again, any questions we have for him, we need to submit to him to review. I've sent a couple in, but any questions for the technical advisor on the part 2, we need to submit to Ms. Murphy.
So he is doing a technical review, and when are we going to see that?
He's just now wrapping up, he's wrapped up the hydro and he's about done with part 2. And we need to submit questions to him that we may have, and I have 3 questions I've submitted.
Okay, so anything that we're reviewing in the hydro, we sent to you and you sent it to him?
Correct. Any questions you have, please just shoot my way. and
Okay.
He'll respond.
Are there any other expenditures for
Do we want to do, I mean, we got these payroll sheets everybody signed, do we want to do just a continuing payroll authorization, so we don't have to vote on payroll every month?
Well, I think she wanted us to vote on them. At least she wanted the signatures at each meeting so we could be paid.
Who's she?
The finance director.
Well, then we'll do Ms. Murphy's bill plus the 3 commission meetings, workshop and voting meetings.
That's what we had at one
She
time.
required 2 signatures.
So,
We just,
When Adam turns it in, he needs another signature.
Okay.
so is our tentative schedule for the consultant to complete his review in time for us to vote on this for August?
correct.
Then I would like to get a debrief from him on what he's looked at, on what his observations were, and a chance to ask some questions. And not do this as a third party through an attorney.
Then I'll ask for him to be available August 17th.
Yeah, I
Before we
think
go to part 2.
he needs to give us a summary of what he did.
Yep.
And what his conclusions were, any concerns, and any risk factors that we need to take into consideration. And the problem is, we don't know what we don't know.
Yep.
Can we do that at the workshop, so we have an opportunity to digest what he says?
you guys want a workshop, it's up to you guys.
Well,
Let's approve expenses first, then we can discuss
Yeah.
this next.
So you're presenting the stipends of the respective dates and this invoice, is that all?
Yes.
So I make a motion to approve the stipends for the
Second.
respective dates that you have and the legal bill.
Is there a second? Let's do a roll call vote since it involves money.
Ms. Hunter,
Aye.
Ms. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
aye.
Mr. Warren?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Beautiful. Workshop and committee meetings. Do y'all want to do a workshop on the 10th of August? And try to get a technical advisor to do a Zoom and answer any questions, comments, concerns?
I
Then-
would, I'd like to, I think what Mr. Hall said was a very good idea. We need to talk to him firsthand, and by then, if we have any additional questions, if we haven't submitted them to you, we can go directly to him.
Yeah, I just think doing that in the public meeting forum is like, I mean, there's not the,
It'll still be a public meeting.
I agree,
Okay.
but, that's kind of what the workshop's for, I think.
Works for me.
And also, if we would like to, I have something to give you that Mr. Hendrick sent me. If we want to get started down the road with the 10-year plan, he gave me some names to contact, and they can get the ball rolling. Eventually, Mr. Hendrick will be involved in this also. But he said that would be a start.
Since we're on 10-year plan, I put some thought to this, and I'd like to ask Monty and Gary if they can form a little ad hoc committee to kind of spearhead the 10-year plan for us.
Good with that.
Gary, you ready to take that on?
I'll take it on.
Thank you.
So is there any, just out of curiosity, if we ask some other folks to help us out, are there any requirements we're supposed to meet? Do you know about
You'll have
who?
to publish meeting dates.
Right, but I mean, as
Yeah.
far as people being on the committee, do you know if there's any requirements for that plan? I don't know.
I would
Well, that's-
just,
I think we probably get together, dig into it, and then
Okay.
decide what we're gonna need.
I just caution against getting too big, because then
No,
you
no.
got
No.
to worry about a lot of people's schedules, yada, yada, yada.
Yes,
So.
right. Right.
And you can also use workshop dates that we don't use and workshop the 10-year plan for y'all to get together and workshop the 10-year plan. So, I mean, those dates are already published.
Okay.
So
Oh, that's a good idea.
I got one every once in a while. Your financials have been sent to you. I talked to Chip Miller earlier. I know some of y'all had questions about the trustee fee, and he said it was 1% of hosting and interest is what the trustee fee was. And he also negotiated our rate for our fund balance to 4.8%, 4.85, I believe. So that's gone up significantly here as interest rates have gone up. So we'll be seeing a lot more interest coming back into our account as we move forward.
Did you say hosting and interest?
Correct, that's what, I'll tell you exactly what I said.
So trustee is 1% right now. Okay.
It represents 1% of host fee and interest taken in. questions about that? Okay, we'll move on to the part-time administrative assistant. Dave, do you still want to go down that path? Are we good as the status quo currently, or?
I think it's up to you. I mean, if you can, if the chair can do the job without an assistant, then that's where we go, but my question was whether that's, you know, an administrative burden on somebody that's working full-time, such as yourself, that we could help relieve.
Let's think about it and just see where we are next month. Y'all have a copy of the budget, 2023-2024 budget that was in your packet? Are there any questions? I know we discussed engineering, and Elizabeth and I talked a little bit about that. TDEC acts as our engineer, so I think it's pretty redundant to hire an engineer to simply do what TDEC's already doing, and the problem you have is that our engineer comes back with something that contradicts TDEC, it's gonna cause a huge problem. So I'm not sure the engineering piece needs to be in there. But that's just something for us to discuss. Because that's what TDEC does. I mean, they are the engineers
Right.
verifying all their work
I'd say
monthly.
that's a discussion for the technical, or a question for the technical consultant is over the long term, when we get into the second part of the expansion and dealing with streams and issues like that, you know, what kind of expertise do we need to advise us on a variety of things? So there may be something out there.
So we could leave it and then maybe
Just hopefully not use it.
use, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
and then have the flexibility of not using it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think it should stay, and then if we don't use it, that's fine. If we need it, it's there.
Okay. Any other concerns about the budget we discussed at workshop?
Are you going to have to add, put something in there with regards to your pay and Social Security and Medicare? And I think that Aaron has the percentages.
So I showed on this budget, last year was $6,975 for membership fees or board fees. Social Security was $158.10 and Medicare was $48.88. So over here, I just put $9,000 total for that, which would include,
So that
Those
was
two things.
included in there.
that's how I did that. I just didn't want to speculate what that might be. So that was left at $9,000 like it was on the previous year budget.
Yeah, I haven't seen, I'm not on, I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I don't know what's next.
Any other questions about the budget? Okay, I'll need a motion and a second to approve the 2023-24 budget.
On the motion to approve the 2023-24 budget.
Second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a roll call there. Mr. Bush?
Okay, roll call for approval of the budget. Mr. Woolen,
Aye.
Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Waller,
Aye.
Ms. Ross,
Aye.
Ms. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Bush, aye. Motion passed.
Thank you. Audit verbiage, don't have it yet. Ms. Murphy has been talking to the comptroller's office. There's some, the audit in question should have been done just in December, but there's some questions in terms of how the expansion agreement plays into that, because that ended June 30th. The expansion wasn't signed until July 22nd. So she's dealing with the auditors and comptroller's office, and we're fine in terms of getting in trouble, because she talked to Bethany at the comptroller today, and we're not in hot water at the comptroller's office, because it's a joint venture and not holding up the county audit at all. So the intent is to vote in August after her and Mr. Hill have some time to hash out some pieces that properly assess the long-term liability of the landfill.
Mr. Hill spoke about a separate letter with regards to Poplar Springs. Do you know the status of that? What's supposed to be included in that?
I do not.
Can you ask him what we're supposed to do on that?
Well, him and Elizabeth are talking about that, because I know that came up, since we're not responsible for Poplar Springs. I know that that's being discussed, but I'll
Yeah, I just remember that he said that we'll have to have a separate letter, separate and apart from the verbiage.
Yeah, I thought we
verbiage.
tasked Elizabeth to draft that.
She is, and it's gotten real complicated, because like I said, this audit should have been turned in last
Yeah,
December.
okay. One thing at a time.
But this one, and it should have been, it was for the time before the amendment was even signed in July.
Yeah. I know.
So she's having to work with Richard and the comptroller's office to make sure it's authored correctly. So
Okay.
anyways, so that's,
Can I ask something?
please.
And it goes back to what Mr. Anklin said about the performance bond.
Uh-huh.
Someone needs to check with the financial assurance group with TDEC to find out what happened with the financial assurance, because we used to have one financial assurance, and that was with the county because they had the closure and the post-closure. Now that Republic has the closure and the county has the post-closure, we haven't seen that document unless you have. Have you seen that? Have you seen that document from the financial assurance? No? So someone needs to contact them to find out, because last time I asked Anita, she presented the one a year earlier, but now we're a year later, and I don't know where we are on that.
I'll reach out to him tomorrow. Anything else on the budget or audit?
Who's gonna do this one?
The next audit? I don't. Let's try to get through the one that should have been done in December.
Well, we didn't like the way Mr. Hill did the one. He stalled us off until almost January. And I thought we were gonna hire a new auditor.
I'm just trying to get through the one that's backlogged, then we'll figure it out. After some looking around, I know we voted on part one on June 15th, but there were some procedural issues that have been cleared up in terms of Ms. Ross's appointment and his reappointment, so we need to vote on the part one again that we voted on back on June 15th, and this time it has the correct names, and Mr. Bush's name is spelled correct and everything else. So we're just re-voting on what we already voted on June 15th. So I need a motion and a second to approve part one again.
I'll make a motion to reapprove part one.
I'll second.
Let's do a roll call there, Mr. Bush.
Roll call to approve part one, Mr. Lowen,
Aye.
Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
I'm gonna get Nate there.
We need Ms. Ross,
Aye.
Ms. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Bush, aye. Passed.
Thank you. I'll sign this probably Monday before I get time to get it notarized because I'm not in the office tomorrow.
Are you
May
gonna
I have
resubmit
a
that
copy
to
when you have it notarized?
Have to do it.
Okay.
Speaking of notary, I know the question for the contract, the agreement, the notary piece came up. Ms. Murphy and I talked about it. Irrelevant. So she's not worried about that being notarized at all. She said there can be oral contracts that aren't notarized. So she goes,
Are you talking about this one that you're gonna notarize?
no, I'm talking about the question came up last time about the amendment
Yeah.
not being notarized.
Right.
She says it's a non-issue. So, operations report.
As per usual, you've got the tonnage report. Asphalt follows with the monthly customer activity report. Materials classification, showing the different types of material coming in.
Can you give us a minute so we can look, please?
David, on material classification, we've got sludge, we've got municipal sludge, we've got off-spec material, and I appreciate what Teresa did, but I'm still fuzzy on what the definition of some of these things are. Is that in our operating, are those defined in the operating agreement, or is that in a separate document?
Those will probably be, in my opinion, those will probably be defined by TDEC because special waste is approved by TDEC.
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of subset of different types of special waste. Municipal sludge, regular sludge, off-spec. That's also TDEC regulation? Okay, I'll look it up. Okay.
So what is SW filter cake?
That's gonna be a processed material from an industrial process.
I'll pull it up and distribute it to the commission, so we all understand what the terms mean.
Thank you.
Followed by the tire report. Posting security letter. Airspace utilization was updated in June.
Did Mike send that most recent elevation deal? Remember how it was being updated at the end of June? He's gonna send it to us?
I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Then after the airspace, we get into the origin report. And then there's a TDEC quarterly submittal. You have the June TDEC inspection.
There were no violations, notice of violations.
I want to go back to the summary origin activity report, what Mr. Anklin brought up, and what I read. When did we start accepting sludge from Anderson County? From, let's see, where else? We had approval for Monroe County. What about Roane County? When did we start accepting sludge from them?
The only one I'm gonna question, and we will look this up, is the Anderson County, the wastewater treatment sludge. I don't know when that was approved and when that came in, so that will be looked up. It was not in the month of June. I've already looked at the customer activity report, so that will be a follow-up at the workshop.
Yeah, I hope that is, because that's a violation of our contract.
So.
That's supposed to come to us before it gets brought over here.
Complete understanding.
Any other questions?
Please inform Ms. Murphy of this violation of our contract.
Thank you. I will. Any questions about the June 8th inspection report from TDEC? Still moving along with the corrective action plan from back months ago, still moving good on that?
Yes, it will be complete with the last part of it, which is the sediment removal, at the end of next week.
Perfect. Any other questions for Republic?
Back to the question on Anderson County municipal sludge, who's your customer on that? Because I don't see anything listed here that would indicate it's Anderson County, maybe it's some third party.
No, that's what I said a minute ago. It did not come in June. And the origin report is a quarterly report.
Oh, this is the June.
It could have come in before then,
Yeah, okay,
we just didn't catch it.
I got it.
Any other questions? Action items, I'm gonna check on the financial assurance stuff for Ms. Hunter.
I've got an action to get the definitions for waste types and
Perfect.
distribute it.
And I'll fix the minutes for the 13th.
Okay. And Monty and Gary gonna start working on the 10-year plan, start scratching the surface on that. And Elizabeth's gonna keep working on the audit verbiage for us to vote on in August. And then technical advisor, August 10th at the workshop. Anything else?
I would like to have one request of Elizabeth. If our consultant sees a problem, we need to know about it
Okay.
when he sees it,
Yep.
not at the August workshop. So that we can interface with Republic, get it resolved if we can, get an answer, and deal with it, so we don't stretch it out another month.
Perfect. Just for things to be cleaner, more streamlined, when going to Republic, go through Dave or myself. He doesn't need to be bombarded with emails from a million people, and the same goes for, oh, no, you're fine. It just, I don't want wires to get crossed and stuff, and the same goes for minuscule stuff with Elizabeth. She doesn't need to be copied on minutes because she bills us to read emails, so I mean, that just adds up. So if there's a serious question, please go to her, but for minuscule stuff, let's save our sanity.
Yeah, I should have harassed him instead of you.
Absolutely, harass me all you want. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'll make that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.